So my sister and I have tickets to see the Killers this September. And if I know anything about going to concerts, it's that they're so much more enjoyable when you really know the band as well as their music. So we decided that we want to go through each of the Killers albums in order so that we can become semi-Killers experts before we go to the concert. This is the Killers Revisited. Wonderful, wonderful. The fifth album by the Killers from 2017 after the Battleborn. What did you think of it? Immediate thoughts?
Way better than the last one.
So much better.
Also, it took them 5 years.
Yeah.
There
was a big gap. This is a semi-important album for me. I remember the day I heard Run for Cover.
Yeah.
It was when our area got the new alternative channel that is no longer a thing, 103.3 The Bridge.
Right.
They played this song all the time. I remember the day they played it the first time because they said, the new single by the Killers, playing it now, Run for Cover. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. I waited for the album to come out, listened to the album, and it was the reason I started really hardcore divulging into the Killers.
And we're back to the 43 minutes.
Yes, we are.
Perfect length.
Back in that 40 to 45. This one is it 43?
It's like 43:06.
Yeah.
Yep.
First track is Wonderful, Wonderful. Yep. It's immediately darker than anything else that they have, and I love it. The dark bass and the just weird ambience that's happening. I hear it, and my metal-loving heart is like, ooh, heavy.
Well, the immediate opening strains of this song sound like Outlander, and you will not convince me otherwise, so that's where my brain goes. It's like the first 10 seconds, it just sounds like Outlander before they really get into the song.
Probably, is it about his wife?
Yeah, it's one of the many that's about his wife. Yeah. The motherless child is his wife.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay. And it has something to do with, like, them finding the Mormon faith.
Okay, that I knew there were some religious undertones.
Yeah, because there's some like these and thous in it.
Yeah,
and,
and there's
a few references.
Yeah, I don't know if it's this one or The Calling that it quite literally says like "Come to the King" or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Know. We say there are many songs on this album about his wife because there are many songs on this album about his wife, and her dealing with anxiety and PTSD. and yeah. So then we get The Man, which I love.
Yeah, I like
I love The Man. It's like a disco, funk, little bit of David Bowie funness in there that I had on my like Get Pumped playlist for a long time. I listened to it for like job interviews and things. But it's also just about him thinking back on the person he was like during the Hot Fuss era.
And this one, actually, Ronnie had an explanation that he had given in an interview, too, which you don't see a lot.
No.
But he was talking about how it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek song of, like, this is what we were like in our 20s. Because he said it's tongue-in-cheek in that it's like, that's what we thought being a man was, but it's not really. And then the rest of this album is what being a man is, and it's about empathy and compassion. Whereas this is just confidence to the point of arrogance.
Yeah.
So he said it's like a flop of, you grow up thinking being a man means one thing, and then as you become a man, you learn that it means something else.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
It's pretty deep for a drummer.
Yeah. And Brandon echoed that because he said this song is a response to the tenderness in the other songs of like, this was our confidence per se in our youth. But,
And then we get one of the best songs ever written.
Great song.
Rut. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how people don't talk about this song more often.
It's good.
It's so good.
I first listened, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I put it in, I have a playlist that is my 25 favorite songs of all time. I put it in there.
How often do you change that playlist?
Not that often.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, multiple times a year, but...
Yeah.
Not like once a week or anything.
Right. He said this was one of 2 or 3 songs that he like sat down with his wife and played it for her and was like, is this okay?
Yeah.
And then before they put it on the album, he actually explained the meaning of the song to the band.
Yeah.
And was like, this is important.
I like
he
it.
He said that's pretty rare to do. It's good.
I've said multiple times this week, it is the best Phil Collins song that Phil Collins didn't write. And that is a big compliment because Phil Collins is wonderful. I was sitting listening to this album with my girlfriend, and she has not been listening to these albums like we have. But we're just sitting there, and this song came on, and like halfway through the song, she goes, "Ooh, those lyrics." And I was like, aha.
Which this one is interesting because it's written from his wife's perspective. Like, they even changed the pitch of his voice so it would sound more feminine.
Yeah.
But it's very much like she struggles with PTSD as a result of traumatic experiences in her childhood. And it's very much her acknowledging, this is what's going on with me. I have to acknowledge it. And he kept saying submit to it in order to fix it. Like, I have to acknowledge its realness in order to live with it so that I can repair it. And it's just, I mean, the repetition of I'll climb and I'll climb and I'll climb, you know, like, ugh. You feel it.
Yeah, this is one I would love to find a way to make this into a tattoo.
Yeah.
This song would make a wonderful tattoo somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Great song.
Wonderful song. Oh, speaking of Phil Collins, I don't know how I didn't mention this. Wonderful, wonderful. It's the same beat as Don't Care Anymore. Immediately, and I know you know this, Ronnie Vanucci Jr. I know you know what you're doing. I don't know why, but as soon as I hear the dun 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 dun, it's Don't Care Anymore by Phil Collins. Someone tell me why. I haven't been able to find anything on it. Then we get Life to Come, which is a U2 song. It's a great U2 song.
And this one is definitely a response to the song before it. Because it, like, the idea of this song is, he says, uncover your face, girl, let go of the blame, have a little faith in me, girl, just drop kick the shame. And then it's got the idea of, like, if you call on me, I'll come, like, no matter when.
Yeah.
And it's, like, he had to, I don't know if he cut the tour short or just he canceled, like, 6 shows of his solo tour to go home and take care of her, because that's when the PTSD really showed up. He said it really resurfaced in her 30s. And they didn't really know what brought it back, but she was really depressed, and he had to come home and take care of her and take care of the kids. And that's where this album came from, was that experience. So, like, it's uber personal.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
That song, like, it's you called and I came, and I'm going to come every time.
Yeah. And I think that how personal this album is a big reason of why it feels so much better than Battleborn.
Yeah.
Like, the music in this is just better. The music is better in almost every song. But, like, the last one, you know, we talked about how they had been on hiatus for a bit, which it was a shorter hiatus than between this and Battleborn. But they had been on hiatus, and they talked about, like, getting back into the role of things and feeling it again, and it didn't feel as genuine. And this just feels genuine.
It does. It feels
all
real.
of it. You feel the emotion on every song.
Yes.
Like, the next one, Run for Cover, is upbeat. It's like a rock song. It made me cry.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, but it does because of how emotional it is.
Which is interesting because I was looking at Run for Cover, and that one was originally written for Day and Age.
Yes.
And he couldn't finish it. So they skipped a whole album, like they didn't use it on Battleborn.
Which it wouldn't have fit on Battleborn
No, it
at all.
wouldn't have.
I think this album feels like they took the first 4 and just made one album out of them.
Yeah.
It's all of those styles mixed together. Tyson versus Douglas also made me cry. Also made me cry.
Right.
This one gets me in my feels. Because it's one of those, like, yeah, it's sort of about him watching Tyson versus Douglas as a kid, but it's also about yourself and when you fail at things and have to see yourself fail, and it's...
Well, this one, like, Mike Tyson was undefeated, and he was knocked out by Buster Douglas in 1990, and he would have watched that fight. Mike Tyson was a big deal in Las Vegas, so it was a big deal for him as a kid, but then in the last stanza, he says something about He's looking out the window and it says, "My boy and his mother." I see my boy and his mother and I think about me or something, and it's definitely like the idea of a hero being taken down. He's got 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of them watching him be taken down, like, what if that happens? What if I get knocked out?
Yeah.
And that fear of failure.
Also a very, very personal
personal song.
Very personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
Yep.
Oh, the line, how much did they pay you? What did it cost?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Uh-huh.
Oh, some kind of love.
Yeah.
A response to Rut.
Yes.
From his point of view,
mm-hmm.
And his children's point of view.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Of course, we talked about earlier, the backing tracks on the last portion of the song are his kids.
Yeah, they're singing "Can't Do This Alone, We Need You at Home."
Yeah.
And it's his boys singing behind him.
To their mom. Oh. It's so good. It's so good.
I know. Which he said, I played this for her and she just sobbed. And I'm like, yeah.
Anyone would, let alone the person it's about.
Yeah.
Some of y'all is gonna get mad at me about this.
No.
Some Kind of Love is what people think Battleborn is. It's not that amazing of a song, musical-wise.
Mm-hmm.
But the lyrics are wonderful.
Yeah.
Battleborn tried to be that. It's not. And then we get Out of My Mind. This is one... Lyrics for me are... whatever. I love the music in this song.
Yeah.
Love the music in this song.
Yeah.
I think the synth is wonderful. It's got some good, Nile Rodgers guitar in the background, and it's just good.
I like the lyrics in the song because it's like he says, I went back to back with Springsteen and you just rolled your eyes, and he talks about something he did something with McCartney, and it's definitely to his wife, and it's I do all of these great things and you don't really care about those things.
Yeah.
Which he said, I looked it up further after listening to it, and he said, I do all these things to impress my wife, but she just wants me to be a good person, so she doesn't really care. And it makes me think of Robert Downey Jr.'s wife. In interviews will regularly talk about I see this guy cleaning out the litter box, and you guys are so impressed by him, and I'm like, and I think about that, she's like, I just don't want you to be a jerk, I want you to be a good dad, I want you to be a good husband, and he's rubbing shoulders with legends in the music world, but it doesn't really mean anything when you live with him. And I like that.
Yeah.
I'm just a dude to her,
Yeah. Then we get The Calling. The Calling is one I could care less about what these lyrics say. Mm-hmm. But the music in this is wonderful. The guitar work, it's so heavy and raw and rockish.
This one, they referenced a painting, The Calling of St. Matthew.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at that painting, that's what they looked at for.
Interesting.
It started as a conversation with the phrase "lean into the light," and then one of the band members was taking a history course and was studying that painting for some reason, and they kind of meshed the two together and came up with this song.
Interesting.
I think it's one of the least, it's probably the least personal song on the album.
Yeah.
Because they took that and then made it into a son going home and calling out his dad.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's got any personal connection or if it was just an idea.
But, I don't know. Woody Harrelson at the beginning reading Matthew.
It was one of those, I just kind of listened over it.
Yeah.
And then when I really went back and was paying attention to each song, I was like, he's reading the Bible. Hold on. What's going on?
It's so light. It's almost hard to hear.
Yes.
It's weird. Mm-hmm. The last album, I said it was a Dire Straits Mark Knopfler album. Mark Knopfler freaking plays the guitar on this song. Yeah. Called it.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that you mentioned U2 earlier because he actually was experiencing writer's block when they started working on this album.
Yeah.
And he sent an email to Bono. And the title of his song was his subject line. And the email was just is this it? Am I done? I can't write anything. And Bono was like, you should start with the subject line. That sounds like a great title of a song. And then he wrote this. But he said he was experiencing writer's block, and then he said, direct quote, Rolling Stone ranked all 73 Smith songs, and I looked at them and I was humbled at how good every effing single one of them was. It just made me want to quit. And I think that after that, he proved that all of the songs had not been written.
All of the songs have indeed not been written. No one ranks this high, and I don't know why.
This might be my favorite.
I think it's my favorite.
This is the first one where there wasn't a song on it that I was like, meh. They were all good.
Every single song, I'm listening, like, I'll forget about it, and then I'll be listening through it, and I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. After Battleborn, I was worried, because I was like, maybe I'm just killered out. Maybe I'm just tired of them, and that's why I felt, and I was like, this is not good. We have 3 more albums.
Yeah.
And then immediately upon, 2 songs in, I was like, nope. I like them.
Yep.
They are good.
They're so good.
They could do this album start to finish as a concert and I'd be happy.
Absolutely.
That's fine.
Yeah, I need them to do right. Keep on climbing.
And this is the album. After listening to this a couple of times, I told you, I was like, I don't know if I should wear makeup to this show.
The line, drop kick the shame. That should be stupid. I should hear that and be like, what the hell? What am I listening to? I hear it and I'm like, I'd get that tattooed on my arm.
I was thinking it'd be a good tattoo.
It's like, that'd make a really good tattoo. Tell me what you think about this album. Tell me why you don't like this album enough. Please defend your stance.
Why is this not in your top 3
If you comment on this album and say, I just don't like Wonderful Wonder, I'm gonna hound you. I need evidence, show your work. I don't. It's so beautiful. It's a wonderful album. Go listen to The Killers.